Hey Pascal, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeremy. What about you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So today we are going to be talking about Themis. So what is Themis? Why did you develop it? And why the name? What does it do?
So I'm very happy to be able to share this work with you, Jeremy, and with everyone watching this podcast today. Themis is the first platform that we have designed in my school a couple of years ago. We call it Themis because Themis is the goddess of justice in the ancient Greece. And the idea of this platform is to support teachers, counselors, school psychologists, principal, assistant principal in handling the concern and incident related to social emotional support for our students in our school. And so this platform, we've designed it a couple of years ago because we couldn't find any platform um, that was going to allow us to do what we wanted to do. There is some missing pieces in all the platform that we have looked at that could allow us to use technology to support in collecting data, collecting evidence, support a process on how we can support our students to learn from some specific incident, for example, align with our restorative approach, align with our vision and philosophy in how we can support our students in our division. And so when we face this situation that there is nothing that will allow us to be who we want to be, we say, you know what? We're going to design it ourselves. We're going to do it ourselves. And that's how Themis started a couple of years ago for the first version.
So that was a couple of years ago, and now you have Themis version 2, which has AI. It's AI powered. There's AI integrated in there. So how is Themis 2 different? Like, can you show us what it looks like and what it does?
Yeah, I can show it to you. And the idea for us to develop Themis in the second version is we have found some limitation in the first version, and one of the limitation was a lot to do with informing other people about specific incidents, so they can take action also in order to help the students to grow from an incident or in order to support them in their social emotional need. And that's why we have developed Themis version 2. So you know what? I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to explore what is Themis. So
So
here is
AI
yeah,
for efficient communication, right?
AI really to support communication. And I'm going to be able to show you this here briefly. So here's Themis. So it's another portal that we have designed also in the junior school where there is other application that can utilize AI. But this is the one that we want to show today. So this is our platform. But the first thing that we have used, that where we have been able to use AI, to utilize AI, was the most important thing. It's not about the technology. It's not about the platform that you see here. It's about our documentation, our process. How do we see incident management in our school? And the first utilization that I have of AI in designing Themis 2 was to reflect on our guideline. And over the years, we have collected many ideas, many different guidelines that are used by other schools. We have also some specific curriculum, like second step. We are responsive classroom school. We have many different approach aligned with a restorative approach that we have used at UNIS. And the first thing, so it was to design a bot that was very knowledgeable with all the documentation that we have collected over the years, very knowledgeable about our school, about our aspiration. And for a couple of months, I've worked with my support team on designing the guideline. And we were able to go so far thanks to AI. For example, one thing that we have done is to design some case study that reflect on all the different categories that we can have when we look at a specific incident. And the teachers can look at the case study and align their approach of a situation with a case study that we have here. So AI has been very helpful to be able to create this documentation in a way that we would not have been able to do without AI, or at least it would have taken us way longer in order to be able to do that. So the reflection really belongs to us. Yes, Jeremy.
So that's interesting. That was sort of step one, like using AI to create like your like handbook, right? How to approach those incidents and respond. And then so I'm guessing step two is AI is going to help, so we don't have to go through this handbook every single time.
And so we have that too. We have what we have designed. We have designed a bot, an AI bot. We call it Themis AI. And this bot here that you have seen on the screen here allow a teachers or a counselor or a school principal to try to reflect on a specific incident based on our guideline. So, for example, here you ask me if who I am. I'm going to say that I'm the principal, and then when I say that I'm the principal, he's going to offer me different things that I can do here. He asked me, can I share an incident? And I'm going to just copy and paste an incident here. And then the system is going to look into it and ask me, do you want to rewrite the incident report in a way that is well aligned our guideline? Do you want to reflect on identifying the tier of intervention? So, for example, if I would say, like, I would like to reflect on the number 2 here, the AI is going to be able to give some recommendation to the teacher, the counselor, the school principal, align with our guideline. And so that's another element that we're using here. Now, it's not bulletproof, but it's really allow the teachers to get familiar with our guideline. We have designed also another element with AI. It's a tutor bot that asks questions to the teacher. So if you want to be able to get more knowledgeable about the guideline, you can go here. You can have a training here. The tutor is going to give you some case study, for example, that you're going to assess, reflect, and you keep like asking some question. But the AI is knowledgeable with our guidelines. So all the answers are within the framework of our guideline. There is also things that we have done with AI to design Themis. Is Themis has helped us also to design all the web graphic that we see on the website. So that's very convenient, and also creating some content in this website. So rather than to spend too much time in writing, I say, I would like for you to be able to write this part here, the introduction for this element here, with those elements here. And so I probably multiply, divide by 3 the time that I will spend to design the content on the website. The last element here, the technology behind utilises some specific formula, simple formula that you can have in a Google Sheet, for example, and those formula were designed by AI. So rather than for me to type all the formula in order to be able to do some calculation on the dashboard that we have, for example, we have a dashboard with all the data we collect. AI was creating this formula for me, which also saved me a lot of time. So overall, what I have at the end is something that is really much alike what I will have if I would have done it completely myself in terms of application, except that with AI, I've been able to go way faster to design it.
So we have here, like step one was using AI to consolidate of your guidance policies and create the handbook. Then step two, feeding that into an assistant that I can talk to, so it helps me rewrite a report or reflect on the theory of intervention. Knowing there has to be a step three, which is some sort of automation, right?
Absolutely, and that's probably the place where we are really able to go to the next level in supporting our students in the social emotional need, is by asking the technology to be able to take care of very specific tasks that allow us to be much more responsive to any situation. And so I'm going to show you an example here. And that was one of the limitations of Themis version 1, is that when an incident was reported to us, we couldn't really share this report directly to the teachers who should be informed about an incident if we decided that they should be informed about it. Because there is a need to rewrite some of those reports that can be, in the heat of the moment, can be written in a way that is not necessarily aligned with our guidelines. That can be sometimes a bit judgmental, or maybe a bit dramatic, or maybe using a vocabulary that is not necessarily the one that we want to use in a formal report that we're going to keep in our database. And so this version of Themis, the version 2, utilize automation and AI together. So when a report is sent to us, through a form, what's going to happen behind is Themis AI is going to write a summary of the incident, and is going to rewrite the report, missing not a single element of the initial report. but a report that will be really well aligned with our guideline. And another element is that once this summary and this report rewritten is finalized, it's going to be sent automatically through a chat. And it's here, for example, an example here of a fake incident that happened where the support team received a report with all the detail about the incident that allow us to act on it. The teachers are going to receive also a report, the homeroom teacher, because he need to be informed that something happened in the playground, for example. So when the students are coming back, he's aware that there is an incident that he can support and he can help with. What the AI is going to do with automation too is every 4 hours during the day, the system is looking at all the updates concerning a specific incident or a specific concern, and is going to summarize those updates and send again in the chat that is designed for that purpose. Is going to inform the support team, the principal, the assistant principal, and based on the type of incident, the teacher, if they need to be informed, they receive an update. So if we have a meeting with a parent, for example, the teacher will be informed that the principal has met with the parents, and here's short summary of what was discussed with the parents. And again, what we decide that we want to share. And so this is a game changer because we don't need to pause and wait to inform other people. We can really focus on supporting the student, trying to find the best restorative approach that we could have on a specific incident, trying to gather some document to be able to work in a class to support a group of students who are struggling emotionally. So we can really focus on what is most critical because Themis AI on the back is going to take care of this communication. Again, it's not bulletproof, but for what we've seen since the beginning of the school year, it's really accurate. And I would say that if it's 97% accurate in the balance, it's really a better choice for us rather than to not use AI to help us in this process and losing countless hours in informing other people that need to be informed. So this is really, really a critical usage of AI and automation that makes a huge difference for us in the way that we can handle specific case.
So the benefit or the value really comes, it sounds, from the customization, the fact that it's been designed by you, by your school, specifically with your guidelines in mind and for your specific needs and use cases. What has been the impact? Like, how has it benefited students in your school community?
Yeah, and I think this is probably the most important piece. There is the automation is very important. The AI is very important in this process too. But maybe the most important piece is the customization, is to be able to design something that work for us, to use the technology to support our need, our vision. Themis AI in this version 2 has been designed to do what we want technology to do for us, and not us to try to fit in a box, to try to utilize a system that had been designed by other people that didn't have in their mind the way we want to work, the way that we approach specific social emotional needs for our students, and that's really critical. So I can give you an example here again on my screen here. For example, here we have, so it's a fake case here, but the way it's designed is directly aligned with what we believe need to happen. For example, we want to make sure that we can collect information about the student who witness a situation, because this can tell us something. And we can have some students who are going to often witness some situation. So what does it mean? We want to be able also, in a case, of course, to look at the students who are being harmed, the students who are responsible. There is many systems that exist that only look at the students who are responsible. But what about the students who have been harmed in a situation, for example? What do we do for them? And so that was also a very important piece for us to be able to customize that. Other element here, we are really looking at tier of intervention. We have a multi-tiers of support system, a multi-tier of support system. So the tier of intervention are extremely critical for us. So we have been able to design the tier of intervention in the system. We are using also logical consequences that are aligned with our responsive classroom approach. And so here we have a system that allows us to use logical consequences. But another thing also that we wanted to do is we wanted to document about communication with parents. And this system allows us to do that. Another element, we feel that when we have a meeting with a parent, and here I can show you an example here. When we have a meeting with a parent, we want to be able to get ready for the meeting. And here we have designed a system that, for example, add automatically the summary about the incident, that we can decide what are the goals for the meeting, the preparation note, and some confidential note. But another thing we wanted to have also is we want to be able to share notes with teachers after the meeting we'll have with parents, but it might not be the confidential notes. And so we have been able to create a place where we can add some notes that are shareable with the teacher. And this is a note that Themis AI will take later, summarize, and create an update for the teachers. Another element, we wanted to be able to add some confidential note, and we wanted to be able to add also some updates so the case can be updated by anyone involved in this situation here. So basically here, what we have is we wanted to work in a certain way, and we have designed a system that can work that way, and not the opposite. And this, I think, is something that is really game changer. So you were asking me of what we observe. What are the observations that we have here? Is the we developed the system. We launched it by just informing the teachers that the version 2 of Themis was here, and without doing any training, the teachers have utilized it. 2 days later, at a faculty meeting, a teacher was saying that was really helpful to be able to use Themis AI on a specific incident. And it was a teacher that a language teacher, so the mother tongue is not English, so that was very helpful for this teacher. And we have also collected many incidents, not that we have many incidents, but the teacher, interestingly, are adding some incident tier 1. So incident that they take care of, that they don't need necessarily the support from the counselor and the teacher. And that's one of the observations that I have here with the counselor, is that our goal here when we created this guideline here was to really push the tier of intervention, to be able to look at social emotional support in the same way that we have looked into for academic support, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And what we see is that the system that we have designed encourage the conversation about the tier of intervention, encourage teacher to reflect on what can we do at the tier 1 level, redefine the tier 2 also. The tier 2 is a collaboration with the counselor. And so what we see is there is less cases that are directly escalated to the counselor or to the principal. And this is not that, it saved me some time to do other things. Is we know that when there's some incident that can be managed on at the space and time where those incidents happen in the junior school, the outcome will be much more successful than if we have to wait and escalate and etc. And so we see, again, it's not perfect, it's not bulletproof, as I was saying, but we can see that there is a change here in the way that we're dealing with this incident. The knowledge that we have also about it, and maybe that's the last thing I can share with you, Jeremy, because we are able also to collect data. And I can show you here. So this is like some demo data that I have here, but we can see the progress of the incidents. So the incidents that are closed, open, in progress, etc. We can see also data about the tier, how many incidents are tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. We can look here, for example, on the numbers of days that it took to be able to resolve a case. And we can see also the different type of incident here. So here is some example of how the data can be collected. And we can basically design, because it's customizable, we can design any dashboard that allow us to reflect, like where we can see here, for example, that the case happened mostly, for example, in the playground or in the hallway, or maybe in a specialist classroom where the students spend less time with a teacher than with a homeroom teacher. So we can really reflect on how we can support teachers and change the guideline, how those guidelines can be updated based on the data that we're going to collect. So we can decide basically based on evidence what we need to do for supporting our students.
That's fantastic. I mean, I have just two questions that I want to, and because we're basically at time, this will be the last question. So I mean, one obvious one is the data privacy, right? So we have here very sensitive information, like not only personal information, but sensitive because it's about behavioral incidents. So because the data is shared with or processed through an AI, how do you ensure that data privacy?
Yeah, and I think it's a very important point. And so there is two things. There is first the data. So the data we collect it in a system that is called Airtable, and it has really robust security. Like it's system that is used by bank and etc. So the data has some level of protection. Nothing is people can hack, but mostly what they will hack if I give my password, and not all the teachers have access to the main database where all the information is collected. They have access to an interface that has also some robust level of protection. It's like a system again that is used by bank, by big companies, etc. And of course, we look at all the certificate that they have. I think the main concern when we develop a system that uses AI, as we were saying, is now this data that is going to fly to the AI, which is here the AI developed by OpenAI. That is the same AI that is used when you're using ChatGPT, and then it's coming back to our database. Now, the big difference here when you design system the way that we've done it is we don't use directly ChatGPT. If today a counselor or teacher use directly ChatGPT, design a bot, for example, to help them to take some decision with a counselor mindset, so a counselor bot, all the data that they're going to put in ChatGPT can be used by ChatGPT to learn. So this data is anonymized technically, but they take the data, they can learn with this data. Now, when you use the technology we're using, we use what we call the API key, which is a key that allows us to connect the AI developed by OpenAI directly to our system. When we do that, the big difference is OpenAI does not use the data for learning. It retains data for 30 days for legal reason in case like there is a illegal use of their system, but it doesn't use the data for learning. So the data stay our property and is never used for learning. So that's, I think, a major difference when many people today in education are going to use directly ChatGPT. What we have done, and I have done in other areas for report cards, for example, to help in writing report card, is to use the API key that guarantees also the safety of our data. Another element here also is that while the database contains a lot of information about the students, when we work on the report, for example, and that AI is going to write again the report, it doesn't receive from our database the full name of the student, for example. In the report itself, there will be the first name, but there will be no last name. Now, there is a way that we could develop this by trying to anonymize the data before it go to ChatGPT. For example, a first name will be replaced by another one, go to OpenAI, get some work done, come back, swap again the first name, and update the database correctly. So that's things that can be developed, but we have not done that yet.
Okay. And then the last question would be about accuracy. So how do you monitor or test the reliability of the reports? Like how do you know that that OpenAI model doesn't just hallucinate additional details in the incident report?
So it's I think it's an excellent question, but all the time. Because when we receive a report, it's not a static report that is going to stay in a database and we might look at it in a couple of months. The report, we are using those reports in order to be able to act on it. So we investigate, we talk to the student, we continue to update the system. And so if there will be something that will not be aligned, then we have the possibility to update it. Now, I've not heard yet someone telling me, wait a second here, this is not what happened. And so for like maybe around like 60 cases that incident that will have been reported, not a single time people will have tell me that no, it's not working. And the counselor are working constantly on the system, updated the system, etc.
So you triangulate with human intelligence and people talking to each other about the incidents. So they would be able to see or check if the AI was to add
Yeah, and we
something.
don't do that for that purpose. We do that because we have to be able to work on the incident in order to be able to resolve it based on the report that is generated by Themis AI. And so, again, if something will be, there will be a discrepancy, the teachers were reported, the playground assistants were reported, etc. We'll be able to say, like, wait a second, this is not what happened here. Or the student will say, wait a second, I was not here today at school. Why suddenly there's something happening with me?
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Pascal. So next week we'll be looking at tools that we have developed at my school, but more for using AI in the classroom or for teaching and learning purposes. So that was super interesting to see what you have developed, and it's interesting that we don't hear as much about how it can be used on the admin side of school leadership or school operations. Like we oftentimes focus on teaching and learning, so it's refreshing to hear about how it can be used in another way, and again in a way that is super creative and entirely customized by you and your school. So
Yeah,
good.
no, my pleasure. And if any school, any head of school or principal is interested in understanding a bit more about Themis, feel free to contact us, and we can dive in a bit more on the technology behind the scene.
Right. And that's our constant message in this podcast, right? That AI is not just a set of tools or products that exist. It's a technology. It's a source of energy. And then use your creative thinking and you can get it to do for you many different things, if not almost anything you can think of. Thank you so much, Pascal.
Thank you, Jeremy.